discuss.
So, in our application, we have uh, events, handlers, and then attributes. Attributes are variables, and b dot we use to get the value.
Mhm.
That's
Discuss
b dot.
regarding the attributes, data binding, and data
Data
assignment.
assigning.
So, what is the difference between exclamatory mark and hash mark?
Hash is it's a data assigning or
Mhm.
value assigning something.
Okay.
Value assigning mark.
Okay. What is meant by data binding and data assignment?
Data
So it's
assigning
something.
means if we assign a value at the starting of the input itself, the same value will be fixed till the end. We can't change it. Whereas data binding means we can change the value. Memory location can be changed.
Let me rephrase the sentence. Data binding in the sense, in entire application, whatever references you have for that particular attribute, every attribute will have a same value. They will not have a different value. They will have a same value in the data binding. Clear? If you change, like let's say I have a username, it was referenced 10 different times in my component, and everywhere I am using explanatory mark as a data binding. So all 10 different places within the component will have a same value. They don't have a different value. Clear? Whereas data assignment, when the attribute is being used as assignment by using a hash mark, if there has been reference in 10 different places, wherever you are using hashtag, the hashtag value will be different from the other values. Clear? Any question? Any confusions?
Not a book.
Okay. So, as I said, whenever you are working with Lightning components, I always recommend to go to developer.force.com, developer.salesforce.com, and get into the documentation called Lightning Component Library because you really don't want to remember everything on your head. You can use the Salesforce documentation provided by Salesforce for a benefit of developers in their developing time. Clear? How to use it? Now, let's say I wanted to create a component here. Let me create a component. I wanted to create a component sfdx create lightning create aura component, sorry, and I'll say header.
There's a what is difference Lightning and Aura? You will say.
It's a different framework. Okay, after discussing lightning we'll discuss about web components later. See, lightning components are
Oh,
using aura framework, whereas lightning web components are running as web standards. It's a two different frameworks. Even you can't compare also. If you ask me what is best, I can say lightning web components are really fast compared to aura components, but we'll go in the same order. First we'll see aura components and then we'll get into the lightning components. Header
okay, okay.
cmp aura. So what was my name for a component here? Header cmp, right? This is my header cmp. Clear? Now let me go and check. Here I wanted to add this component as a application. Let's say if we can go to the app builder, you can go to the lightning app builder. See, earlier we used to create one component, isn't it? We created a tab called Lightning Component tab, isn't it? You remember with a component called App Hostable, right? So let me read. Yeah.
Yes.
So we created a accounts versus contacts. This is a Lightning tab, right? This is a Lightning tab. We
Yes.
created one component and we use that component in a Lightning component tab. The same way, we can also create a Lightning applications using app builder page. You remember we used to work with app builder pages for page layout configurations and all.
Yes. In admin part.
Yes, I'm coming to the same place called Lightning App Builder. I'm trying to create a new app. In this new app, my intention is that I need to add my header component. I need to add my header component. Now we have three different pages: app page, home page, and record page. Earlier we used to create record page, if you can remember it. Now we are creating an app page. Inside app page, I will say Aura components. Next, this my app name is Aura components. So here we have header, left sidebar, header, three reasons, two sidebar, header and right sidebar, whatever you wanted. Now I'm selecting a different application called header and right sidebar. Okay, I'm selecting header, right sidebar. Next, now my intention is that I wanted to add my lightning components here. But am I able to see any components here? No, right? Whatever we created, that is not available, isn't it? If we,
Yes.
now the question is that why it is not available, is something we are missing. No, you are not missing anything. If you want to enable your component as a lightning, I mean application within the app page, then we need to implement some interfaces. So as we don't know what interface we need to use, let's take an help from developer console. I mean developer.salesforce documentation from lightning component. So we know we need to implement interfaces. We don't know what interface. Let's go to the interface sections, view by namespace. For sure, this will come as a lightning component and we'll see what is the interfaces action override, app homepage, available for charter, available for screen. By seeing itself, you'll get to know which one is available. This is something like homepage template. It doesn't really look good for me. I'll go to the force. Oh, this is something called talking about app. And we are creating one app, isn't it here? Yes or no? We are creating a
Yes.
lightning app, right? And the interface is also talking about some app postable. We can check it out. What is this app postable? Click on this app postable. They're saying add force app interface lightning command to allow it has been used as a custom tab in lightning experience that implements this and can be used to create tab in both lightning experience and Salesforce. This interface is marker interface, and marker is a single component container to add interface behavior to the command. You don't need to implement any specific method or attributes. You simply interface the method, something like implements force app postable. Interface makes component available for customer. It doesn't require you need to add anything. Okay. And then we'll go to this is abstraction. You don't want to add anything, and fine. If you need more information, click on configure components for custom tab. This is Lightning component developer guides completely. You can go through this course later. But now let me go here. So we got one thing called implements force app postable. Okay. And we have any other chances that we can see like force community. Anyway, we are not working with community. And something where to allow guest access, we don't need to talk about communities only here. Lightning quick action, we are not working for quick action. There will be no record ID, no object name because we are trying to create this as a this one. Available for charter post, available for all pages, and we'll go to the Aura interface root component. Available for force clean, available for all pages. Now we have another thing called flexi page. Another thing called flexi page. If your component record pages only, then use available for record interface is a hello world component. Okay, and we also have all page types. If a component is a record pages or any other type of page, use the flexi page called available for record for all page types. First, we'll let add an implements of app postable, the one we use. Implements equal to double quote app postable. Check. I'm deploying it. So whenever you wanted to refer your component, so interface is important. That interface you can get from developer documents only. You don't want to remember. With the practice, you will get used to it. Okay. Okay. This got deployed. Perfect. Let me go back and we'll see whether this is coming or not. Refresh the page. Refresh it. App page. Oh, looks like Aura components. Right sidebar. Next. Let me save this first so that I can refresh. Save. Okay. Activate it. For first time, we need to activate again, but I'll activate it for across organization level. Activate for all users. Yes. Save. Finish. Now, if I can come down, so still it is not available, right? It is not available. So, app postable is something which is not helping us. Now, what is next one we have? Available for record home, available for all page types. Let me check with all page types. Let me check with all page types. Implements. Deploy this to source app. Now go and refresh it. Now go and refresh it. Now we got it. Which interface is helped us to get this component available for Lightning app page? Flexi page colon available for all page types. Clear? Which interface helped us here? Guys. Now we can drag and drop.
Available for all these components.
Yeah. Now we can simply drag and drop that component to this place. We can simply drag and drop that component to this place. Let's save and activate it. Save. It's already activated. Let's go back and we'll check for Aura component. Aura app. Aura components. What is this? My app name? Aura components. I'm getting my app name and check we have. This is at a component. We'll change a little styles here. So now I need a structure here. I need a structure with a title and one input field and then I need to have a search button here, and I need to have a search button here. Clear? I need to have one field and I need to
Okay.
have a search button. So one field in the sense we need to have a background, isn't it? We need to have a background, yes or no?
Yeah. And we
Okay.
can hide the those standard tabs also, right? The contacts, opportunities if you want.
We can do that. Class SLDS card is a standard class name available in the system. Let's say now we can say check, deploy, refresh it. Every time you need to refresh the code. Now we got this one. But the structure, whatever we are thinking, right? We need to have header and the body. Inside body, till here I have input field, and from here I need to have a search button. If that's the case, so what should we do? And if you remember from our first conversation, we used a component called lightning card, isn't it? We use something called card, right? Inside lightning component.
Yes.
So we can simply use that card now. We can simply use this piece of code and we can modify whatever we needed. So I'm copying this particular piece of block and I'm replacing with my code, and I'm replacing with my code, and instead of title I'll say search for record, search for accounts. And I don't need a footer, so what I'll do, I'll take it off this footer only. But if you don't need a footer, again you have a specifications here. So where is this variant? Footer object, the footer include text or another component. Footer is a object, it includes anything. Control F, footer. Okay, cool. Footer is an object. And here I'll say I don't need actions column. The reason behind, I don't need a such, let's say card body. Here I need to have an input, lightning colon, input, type equal to text, label equal, or I'll say placeholder equal to search for accounts, deploy it. Now let's go back and check it. Here, as we expected, we need an input field till this point, right? And we need to have this button here, isn't it?
Yeah, search button.
Sorry.
Search button, right?
Yes, search button. So it means that whatever we are getting here, this is not a right thing. So let's take it off even this, we don't need. And we can add here even that button saying that lightning colon button label equal to such, label equal to such, and deploy this to source arc. But button is going down. That is not really looking good, isn't it? It should come right next to it. So for this type of alignment we have called, there is a component available called lightning layouts, or if you are talking about SLES, if you are talking about a write CSS within the lightning component library, sorry, lightning design system. This is a lightning design system. Here you have an option called grid view, that is called grid view. What is that called? The one we are talking about, like keeping this column here, that is called grid view. Let's say grid. So this is called grid view. We are expecting same thing, right? 3 columns, 12 columns. This one actually we are expecting this phase, right? One column, the input field should be long enough, and we need another column which have a search button, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
The main class for this is SLES grid, the concept in CSS. But if you ask me, hey, is a standard component available for us? Yes, there is a component called lightning column layouts. Lightning column layout. So we can also define this component structure simply by using layouts. Let's go to layout item. Let's go to layout item. And now here we need to define a size. Hey, this size should be big and this size should be small. So let's say from layouts with items with size attributes, you can see layout items with size attribute. So simply you can say layout item, multiple rows. We have multiple rows, isn't it? See, one, and we have other row. So what we can do, layout items with multiple rows, and I'm just copying a few things. Go back to your component, use that structure, Control A. Yeah. Now I'm taking up this column, layout input text, inside layout item. Inside layout item. I'll copy paste the layout item. I'll paste it. Yep. Control X. Now you can see this is a layout item, the main structure. Inside this layout, and we are saying, hey, I have a component with a layout item. Inside that I have two elements. Each element I am classifying as with layout item, right? Each element I am classifying. You can see this is a open tag, this is a close tag. This is a open tag and this is a open tag. So I have input field and I have output field. Clear? Now let's deploy it. Still we had an issue here. Still we need to define a size, which one is big and which one is small. Before do that, we'll see how the output. Now we got till here only, right? See, account search, and we have field here. The reason behind, in any screen, if you can consider, even if you are using like a 20 inches monitor or you are using like a 4 inches your mobile screen, the total width of one screen is 12 columns, 12 div tags. Clear? The total width of any screen in multimedia screen, I mean whatever digital screens you have, that will be 12 columns. In these 12 columns, the 8 columns I should have my input field and 4 columns I should have a button. So what we can do here, 8 plus 4. What's the count now? What's the count? 8 plus 4?
12.
12. So now what happens? It is occupying one complete screen, isn't it? Earlier it was 4 and 4. It is occupying up to half space. Even you can see it is exactly occupying the half space here. The other half is left because they used only 8 spaces. Now deploy the source arc. Refresh it. Now this is occupying more, right, compared to before, isn't it? Still, if you want to make good, let's say I'll say 1 and I'll say 11. This looks more good than the other one. Deploy this to source arc. Refresh it. But now this is looking good for me, but the simple problem is that the button is going little above. They are not inline, isn't it? They are not inline to each other. Yes or no?
Yes.
For that,
Yes.
what we can do, let's inspect it. To inspect, we can use a browser help by clicking right click or control shift right. Right click and choose inspect elements and select the field what is making this goes down. And oh, there is a field called label here. Input data, rendering, SLS forms, lightning, input class, and SLS grow, input type text, IRA invalid false. And yeah, here we had a label. You can see there is a simple label we can capture. Now it is highlighting somewhere here, right? If I highlight this one, it is highlighting label, right? You can see yes or no. Some random text it was there. If I delete this one, let's say edit, right click on it. My screen got hanged. My screen got hanged. Let's say edit as HTML. I have a label here. I'll say sample. So now we got this sample. Now the problem is that we don't need that label to be displayed. So what we can do, we'll just check it out everything on a UI level first. Edit it and I'm deleting that particular label tag. I'm deleting that particular label tag and I'm saving it. Now they are inline. So what is the problem here? That label only is causing an issue. Now let's go to the component library. Let's go to the component library. What is the element that we are using here? Lightning input, isn't it? Lightning input. Let's go to lightning input. So I'm using input. Let's go to specification art. I'm using text type. Let's select text input first. Go to specifications. And we'll see anything for a label here. IRA label. Input asset to text. IRA label by, and we have this, and we have 36. data attribute label, text label for input, message for inactive, time variable, which is not here. So actually there is an option called IRA label. There is an option available. I don't know how to search. Control F, IRA. So generally, let me refresh this page. I'll show you from here only. Control F. Label attribute is required. If you don't want to display, yeah, here you can see. If you don't want to display your label, then you can use an action called variant equal to label hidden. When I say variant label hidden within the component, then automatically this will not come in a way that if I keep variant equal to label hidden, if I say variant equal to label hidden, then automatically what happens, the label will not rendered within the UI component. Okay. Now if I can go here,
Yeah.
refresh. So it's all about like the way you use your component library. You don't want to really remember everything, but you should know how to navigate the component library and you can leverage that functionality. So only I'm just mimicking myself that I'm actually using my component library now. Now we got everything as expected, isn't it? Right? So this search for account is a placeholder. If you can see any website, even if you go to google.com, even if you go to google.com, no, it is not coming anywhere. Randomly, they will give some search, right? So they will give some text search here. Please enter your first name, last name. Let's say Control Shift P, Control Control Shift U, gmail.com. Create account. Now you can see they are not giving labels here. They are giving like first name, last name, right? Within the fields, isn't it? If I start typing anyone, automatically that will be skip off, isn't it? See, don't worry, this confirm. This is the styling they are doing. At least they have a placeholder here. The same thing we had a placeholder. I added a placeholder. You can see within the code. This is called a placeholder. Placeholder in the sense if the field value is blank, automatically the placeholder comes. If field value is not blank, then that will not be show off. Clear? Clear? Any questions there? Any questions?
Once again, can you repeat about this search? Suddenly my audio got disconnected.
Okay, this is a placeholder. Search for accounts is a placeholder within the input tag. Placeholder in the sense, if the input field is blank, then the placeholder will show. If we type anything, then the placeholder will be disappeared automatically. Now,
Placeholder means search bar.
this one, input field. We're not giving any type,
Oh,
right? It's just a search for accounts. So as soon as you start searching for anything, if you type anything, automatically that will be disappeared.
oh.
And we have another component here. Let's say Salesforce Controller. We have a controller. The concept we have here is controller. Controller is a JavaScript method. Controller is a JavaScript
The,
functions.
the,
Yeah,
can you just explain like how to search inside the Salesforce if we type anything?
not getting you anything.
Okay. In this search, if we type any account or anything related. in the Salesforce objects related anything, if you type that one, can it display?
Okay, for now you are talking about in this field.
Yes, yes.
But the problem here is that we just define input field. We never written any functionality on this. Till now we worked in
Oh,
matching this UI part only. Now we need to
okay,
add like a controller JS actions and then the server actions to get the data.
okay.
So now let's go back. On click of this button, I need to call a JavaScript method. I need to call a JavaScript method, right? Search in the sense we need to search. For that, I need to call my JavaScript method. For that, first we'll define one function. So you can see inside a component bundle, inside a header component, you can see option called .js file. You can see an option called .js file. You can see .js. Okay, .js file.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So in JS file, you can define a function. So how this function saying that search action, this is my function name, search action, colon, function, open brace, close brace, component, comma, event, comma, helper. Component, comma, event, comma, helper. So now on click of this button, on click of this button, on click of this button, I need to call my header component, header actions. How to call this actions? So this is a button. So we have an event called on click. We have an event called on click, double quotes, flower braces, binding operator. Instead of v dot, we need to use c dot because this is a controller, right? Yes or no? These are not attributes. These are controller. So you need to use a syntax called c dot your action name. C dot your action name. And let me help you something like alert search action started. Search action started.
V dot is for controller, V dot is for, can
V
you say?
dot is only for Aura attributes.
Okay, okay.
C dot for component, I mean controllers, server actions, every action, every JS file function methods, and server actions, you need to use a syntax called C dot.
Okay.
Now clear? Refresh it. Now we got such action started from the alert, the one we entered, isn't it? Such action started. Where we written this? This we written inside a JavaScript, isn't it? Alert. Such action started. And how we are calling that method? By simply on click c dot search action. Clear? Any questions?
Noted.
Now the problem is that get value from the input field. We need to read a value. On click of search, I need to read a value from here. I need to read a value from lightning input. Clear? I need to read a value from lightning input. For that, what we can do before, to identify this component, to identify this particular component, lightning input, let's define some unique identifier called aura colon id, saying that search field. So what is the unique identifier for this field is search field. Lightning input, type text, placeholder, I am passing my aura id. So now we need to read a value from input field. For that, first find the component based on ID. We have only ID, right? By default, we don't have anything else, isn't it? We have only ID here. And there might have a chances that you'll be having that field or you'll not be having that field. So now I'll say let such field equal to component. So if you want to search anything within the component, then you need to search for a component only. Component dot find. What you need to find in this case? That particular ID. Clear? So you got a find, right? Search field. Yes or no? Now imagine that you got a field got found and you will say let search value equal to search field dot get v dot value is a syntax, guys. If you want to read any value from the field, then this is the syntax. Alert searching for plus search value. So I'm saying first I found my field. Whatever the field I found, from that I'm reading my get v dot value. So I'm reading my value. Deploy this to source arc. Deploy this to source arc. Okay, it got deployed. Now I'm searching for skills. Yeah, search action started and searching for skills. You can able to read the data, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Deploy this arc. Okay. Now refresh and we'll check it out. So I was trying to produce some error here. Okay. Now I'm typing the same skills again. Refresh. Skills and I'm searching it. The expectation is that I should get alert saying that my skills right, but it is not coming, isn't it? That alert itself is not coming. It means that something went wrong. So if you find something went wrong, right click, inspect elements, and go to console and again do search. Nothing has been recorded. Then what you can do, go to sources, put control P. Control P. What is your component name here? Header component.js, isn't it? Click on the formatted. So of course this is not your component. Search for another way. Header component.js. So here we have our code. If you can observe it, there is a code available, whatever we have written there, right? Yes or no? Your code is there or not?
Yeah.
So what you can do, you can add a debuggers here. You can add a debuggers here. And we can identify from where this code got failed and skipped off. Search, it got into debugger. Then I'll go to search. Okay. Now component.find anonymous name and I'll go. Search field is undefined. See, there is a search field which is saying undefined. It is not able to find the value of this one. Now what we can do, let's go to component.search field, copy this, console.log, paste it here and we can execute. Oh, this is undefined. Why it is undefined? I'm not too sure. Then we need to check this particular ID is existing within the code or not. This is there, but what is the difference between these two? This is capital F and that is small f. I intentionally made this before. So lightning components are case sensitive. Lightning components are case sensitive. Clear? Now I can say I'll check with other name component dot find double quotes enter. Oh, now we got a data. See, and we have like get. Inside get we have name value and let's say component dot get find. So I have found that, and then which method we have here? Dot get method we have, right? Dot get method, and we also have a value. So then we can use dot get v dot value. You got skills, right? It is able to print now. Yes or no? How we are debugging it? So whenever you find any issues, all you need to go to your sources. As soon as you open, you will get something like this. Put Control P and search for your component. And there are two different types of components like header, CMP. You can see two different components that was rendering. One is like a standard JavaScript, platform level JavaScript will be generated by default. The other one, the custom script that you are writing off. So I opened first one and I formatted this by clicking a pretty header format. And I realized that this is not something I needed. So I closed it and I looked for other thing, header.cmp.js. Now here I got my controller. You can see controller. Inside that I have my search action and I added my breakpoints. As soon as I added my breakpoints, my code will stop rendering from that place. It will come, it will show the output and it will continue. So for now, let's say refresh it and I'll also update this code here. Instead of small f, I'll update as a capital F. Save, deploy it. Save, deploy it. Refresh the code until unless you see the latest code version in the console. Now it got updated. See capital F. So it means that this is fine. I'll say skill search. So I got a code here. If we click play, automatically it will continue. If we click this one, step over to next function call, it will go to the next thing. Action started and it stopped here and I rolled over step over. So in search field, I have all the data now, blur, focus and everything. In get the same output, whatever we saw in the console, we can see that. And I can say next. In search value, you can see skills. It means that the value can able to read a skill. You can also, this is the data output here. And then it is alerting. And search value is always skills. So search for skills. Any question here? Clear?